Welcome to the Moments That Mattered podcast. My name is Laura Escamilla. I am your host. Today, we're going to talk about our child and our money. And I have my two wonderful friends with me, Dr. Selena Vasquez, who is a mother of three and is an optometrist, right?
Yes.
Okay. And my friend Ginger, who is also a mother of three and is an entrepreneur. Hi. And first, before we start, I want to say that we are not financial experts. We are moms. We are not endorsing anyone. We're just trying our best and doing the best we can for our kids. So please take everything with a grain of salt. And what we're going to be discussing is money. And really, it is one thing to figure out how to pay for your child to attend college, and it is another to figure out how to finance your child while they're in college. So this is the conversation for today. So my first question is, how did you handle your money with your kids? So Selena, you have one daughter, Olivia, in graduate school and law school, one son, Alejandro, at Texas A&M undergrad, and one rising senior.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So, and Ginger, we have Hannah, who just graduated with her master's, right? We have Kate going into a master's program, and we have Luke in undergrad at UTSA. So lots of college kids. I myself have a graduate student, MBA, Skylar, and my son Lucas is an undergrad student, finished his first year. So we have a lot going on. For me personally, eating out, big thing. And handling that on a day-to-day basis was crazy. So you all experience that? Do you have your kids? How did we start the year off? Let's start with number one. Number one child. What was our plan? Did we use a credit card? Did we give them a bank account?
You know, you think you have it figured out to just get the right meal plan.
Mm-hmm.
And no, we didn't quite figure that out. You know, yes, we always have the credit card as a backup plan, but you're trying to get the correct meal plan to cover all their meals during the week. And then, of course, have that extra monies for the weekend.
Because A&M required them to have a meal plan the first year, or
If
you
they
thought
are
it
on
best?
campus, yes. If they were on campus, if I remember correctly, they had to have a meal plan. And so I think that was probably the hardest part is also just their eating habits, because that even changes. Like depending on their classes, you think it's perfectly a breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No, that's not the way it works, you know? And so it was just trying to figure out, I think with both of my kids, you know, that are in college now, the meal plan it was a hit or miss sometimes. And that's what led to they'd run out of their dining dollars or their meal plan that's allowed per day. And that's when the credit card comes into the picture. And that's when it became
And it became easy.
easy for them,
Right.
thinking that hunger is an emergency.
Right.
And they think, let me just go get something delivered to the house or to their dorm, or let me go pick up something to eat. That adds up pretty quickly.
So let's talk about the emergency with the credit card. Was that the introduction to a credit card? This is for emergencies only.
Yes. You know, our goal was, I'm going to probably veer off a little bit, was we had a college 529 plan for both of them. And you want that covered. You know, you want their tuition, their meal plan, their housing. And the credit card falls into that emergency. But again, it became more of a
Daily.
daily. That was one of the most surprising things to me. And I always tell my husband, I didn't anticipate how the credit card charges were going to accumulate. That totally has been the thing I did not expect.
Right. And so for me with Skylar, we gave her a budget, but she got one of those Discover student cards. And she initially as a student, she only got $500, credit. And she had worked out because she had a $500 allowance per month. And we kind of did that with financial aid and what was left. And we split it up for the semester. You had $500 a month to spend. So she would charge her credit card and then pay it off with her allowance. And it worked out great for her. But all the charges were food, like all of them. How about with Hannah when she left too?
Hannah, her first year was at St. Ed's and she lived in the dorm. She didn't have a car, so we got her the meal plan because she's not going to be able to leave. She's going to have to eat on campus every day. And I don't think she ate at the cafeteria one time. Every time we'd come visit, we'd visit the cafeteria and like, oh gosh, they're having Mexican food night. They're
Right.
having Indian food. How exciting. And just no.
Yeah, I don't know that a meal plan, I know it's required. It's required at
Mhm.
Baylor where my kids went. You have to have it that first year,
Mhm.
but I don't know that it's worth it. It's a lot of
I
money and
think
our kids didn't eat there.
I think it depends on the child too,
Right.
because if you are not a picky eater and you just like to eat a lot,
Right.
then that makes sense. But if
Mhm.
you like fast
Right.
food and you have a friend that will take you and you have a credit card, then that's going to be
Right.
the
And
choice.
did
Very
you
easy.
you did the same credit card with Hannah?
We did with it was our credit card that she had a card in her name under. So, of course, we paid the bill. But once she got a job, she got her own credit card and she paid it
Yeah.
and quickly maxed it out. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
That happened with Lucas. What my plan with Skylar was I thought, well, I'm just gonna duplicate it with Lucas because he can probably manage it better. And fall was great. But this last semester maxed out. Well, at Christmas time, they gave him more credit because he paid it off so well. And there it goes.
Mhm.
Just eating out, eating out, eating out. Who
Yes.
thought you could max out a credit card eating out? Like
That totally was it. Food.
food.
That's what was on their credit. It wasn't about if you need a sneaker for your new tennis shoes, something like of that nature. It was food.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But so for all of us, we paid the meal plan
Mhm.
plus we paid a credit
Right.
card bill for
Yes.
eating out. So it kind of seemed like a waste
A double
and
dipping
yeah.
that one system was working and the other one, yeah.
Yeah. And Skylar, she did a better job, but she was obviously the more apt one to adapt to the situation because when she didn't eat sandwiches at home, she was eating them there because it was either a sandwich at the dining hall or she used all her money for what she had.
And I think you have to be realistic whenever you have that conversation with your child. Are you going to eat in the cafeteria? And just be honest because otherwise you're throwing away money.
The meal plans are not cheap,
Yeah.
and would find ourselves like the meal plans would be like, okay, maybe let's just try one meal a day. But then you add these little different colleges call them differently, dining dollars.
Hmm.
Well, you're adding dining dollars all the time.
Right.
So because they go through those monies, and nowadays there's Chick-fil-A's on campus, Starbucks
Hmm.
on campus. Well, that really goes through that pretty quickly, those dining dollars. So you're having to,
Yeah.
add more.
So for us with both kids, we ended up with Skylar first was we did 5 days a week, it's either 5 or 7.
Mhm.
So we did 5 days for her and she felt she needed it 7. So the second semester we changed it to 7. And then with Lucas, it was the opposite. We're going to give him 7 because Skylar needed 7. And then he's like, Mom, I'm not eating there. So let's change it to 5. I'd rather have that money to eat out. But still, like it still didn't add up and didn't, and that credit card, for like I said, my kids had a credit card under their own name to build their own credit, right? And Ginger, you're saying you got it under yours, but just like
Mhm.
We
them.
did the same as Ginger. Yeah.
But you know what? At least with American Express, that builds their credit.
Credit.
Mhm.
Regard
Even if it's under your parents' card, your
just as their
social is
name
and their social.
associated
Yeah.
with it.
Mm.
Yeah. So it was a lot to handle. How about a bank account? Did they have bank accounts also?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All of them had bank accounts, and that was convenient, because again, we're trying to get them away from their credit card. So if they needed some additional
Mhm.
monies, it's easy just to transfer
Because it was attached to your,
it was attached to our bank account.
right.
Absolutely. And to this day, that is still very convenient. And, just
Yeah,
that process is easy.
I
Yes.
still have my kids opened their account when they turned 16, started driving
Mhm.
and kind of to give them gas money and to eat out and to do
Yes.
those things easily attached under my account. And still to this day, Skylar's 24 and I can still see
Yes.
all her transactions.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you mentioned before off air that your kids, they had a limit for their credit card,
Mhm.
but yet you'd find that you had to go,
Every month. Yes.
Yeah.
Increase it for whatever.
just
Yeah.
because they had reached their limit by
Yes.
the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are crazy things.
And it's just hard that, we would always talk, my husband and I, like, let's put a limit, a
Mhm.
limit. But then the mom feelings come. You don't want your child is,
Without.
hours away, and you don't want them to be without a meal. Like,
Right.
they have sandwich meat there in their dorm, whatever it may be, to make a sandwich, but those mom feelings are like, but you want them to
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah.
And that's where that, go ahead and charge on the credit card. Go
Go ahead
ahead,
and get
go
it.
ahead, go
Yes.
ahead. And
So,
it's hard.
a funny story with that same thing is that Lucas, I would talk to him like, you're using too much, you're eating out too much. And he calls me one day and it's like, Mom, I think this is what I'm going to do. There's a food pantry on campus, which, of course, to me, food pantry is for those who are food insecure and don't have any other way to get food. And that is what it is for. But to him, he's like, well, I can go get free groceries and save that money and use the money to eat out. And we had a big conversation. And he's like, I don't understand why it's a big deal. They offer it to students. I'm like, yes, but it's not for you. And that mom feeling of like, I'll give you more money in case if you need it, because it's not for that. Like, that's not what it's for. You
Mhm.
really feel like you need to go to a food pantry to
Mhm.
survive. But
Yes.
also in the back of my mind, rationally, you have access to all these
Yeah.
dining halls. Like,
Yes.
you can go eat
Convenience too.
as many times as you want.
Yes.
But still, that mom feeling like, I don't want you to be without. All your friends are going to go eat.
Mhm.
And it is a lot to handle for
Yes.
sure.
So if I can interject and tell you one thing so Hannah and Kate live together, and Luke obviously is in San Antonio by himself, but all three of them get HelloFresh.
Mm-hmm.
And it is more expensive than going to the grocery store and buying those ingredients. But I feel like it's teaching them to cook. And
Mm-hmm.
if they don't eat it all in one sitting, they have the leftovers. And I don't know if it's cost effective, but I feel like it's worth it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they've been doing
Teaching
that
them
for
to be
years.
self-sufficient.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm.
And Luke, I mean, my 21-year-old son cooks, so I think that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
So did you have any financially, friends, they're going on trips or they're going to concerts or, while they're in college and you're like, now I have to pay for them to go to the beach and I have to pay for them to go here or there. And, those are expenses that I didn't expect when my kids left to college. Like,
I feel that we did have a pretty good balance there because that I think we were more stern about. Like, okay, if you're going to take this trip, you will not be able to take this trip, and because sure, it was big spring break, big, some winter break vacation. And so I felt we were good in that aspect that we'd put a limit because that's when we say like, wait, this is expensive.
this is not a necessity.
And not a necessity. And, I understand you want to go, but also would stress during those times, there's also family time. We have not seen you
Mm-hmm.
all semester or whatever it may be. And so there's also family time. So that we did, we'd allow them to take a trip, a small one, but not every single trip they'd ask for.
Right.
Because that can also, they're looking for the fun, but somebody's got to pay the bill,
My kids know to ask dad, and dad's not going to say no. So if it was up to me,
Yes.
same thing, limit
Yeah.
within reason. But no, my husband says yes to everything. So
Because he has that feeling of like, I don't want them to miss
Yeah.
out and not have,
absolutely.
but that gets you in trouble,
Yes.
That-
And again, I think a lot of us always want something more for our kids that we did not have.
Mhm.
But I feel like he's setting them up for unrealistic expectations when they are on their own, making their own money. They're going to have to learn to budget and
Mhm.
Sure.
not just
Yeah.
get everything they want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Lucas now going into year 2, he's going to get a job but that is partly him knowing that he overdid it and that he can't afford the lifestyle he wants. Because like you don't have to work. For me, your kids didn't work right through college, or
They
Olivia
would
did,
work
right?
in the summer and they would have those savings to start the year
Mhm.
off again for their own incidentals and their own, if they wanted some type of shoe, clothing, that's what it would go for.
Mhm.
But that runs out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And for me, like I wanted the kids to focus on academics, at least that
Mhm,
first
mhm.
year or two,
Mhm.
and not worry about work. And so Lucas is going to get a job and he's saying, well, I figured out my budget, based on what I'm going to get. I can't afford the lifestyle I want if I don't work. Right. And I don't want to ask
Yeah.
you for money, which is good. Right. We'll teach him. But also in the back of my head, I'm like, just go to school. Just do what like just live, the poor college life and
He needs
with
1
what you
million,
have.
1 million a year.
Yeah. I'm like you won't be able to afford yourself. There aren't enough hours in the week to afford your eating
Yeah.
out habit,
Yeah.
But And also, but this time he's going to have a kitchen and I hope, he'll start to cook. And I did tell him about HelloFresh and even I think it was, is it Swanson or some other company that
Mhm.
does like, you can buy the
Mhm.
packaged, individually packaged chicken and things like that. I'm like,
Yeah,
just something quick. But eating out gets,
it
and then
does.
because you mentioned earlier, like DoorDash and you just like get delivered,
Yes.
that fee to get delivered is,
That makes me so angry.
Yeah.
yes.
Oh
A
my gosh.
Chick-fil-A
Yeah.
turns into a $50
Yes.
endeavor
How
and
lazy can you be that you won't get out of the apartment or the
to
dorm to
go get
go
it.
Yes.
pick up your
Yeah.
food?
You
Yes,
know,
for sure.
something we
Crazy.
tried a little bit was, and one child was very good about it, the other one wasn't, was even like just we set them up before they went off, HEB delivery
Mhm.
or curbside, excuse me. And so Olivia used that very well. Alejandro, after we just try to set him up, it just, hey, Alejandro, once you get your list on there, you save it, your basic necessities,
Mhm.
it just,
Nothing. Yeah.
doesn't work with each child the
No,
same.
yeah.
Olivia's has stuck with it to this day, but it just
Yeah.
different for every
Same with
child.
Skylar. She can go and plan her meals. And when we would
Mhm.
go, we went with Lucas, you go visit them, at least for us, and you want to fill up their fridge of whatever they need. That one quick trip, you're going to take them out somewhere nice to eat. You're going to get them groceries and
Yep.
whatever little gadgets or whatever they need. We went to, I think we went to HEB and it was like half the cart was energy drinks. And I was like, this is not energy drinks
Sustenance.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Eggo waffles and cereal. I'm like, how
Yeah.
this is not what this was supposed to be.
Right.
He's like, oh, we
Meals.
go through these a lot and it'll save me money from having like this is ridiculous if this is happening.
Yeah.
But those are, the realities
Absolutely.
of them. Yeah. And how about if you could go back and do things differently? For me, it definitely would be an honest conversation about the dining
Mhm.
hall situation because that's, you know,
Just yeah, I mean, it's really about understanding that, yes, you can live off of this much money per month.
mhm,
When you, try to access all the resources there at the university, that it is doable,
right,
and still enjoy it. And it's just sticking to a budget.
right.
Absolutely. That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for Kate's experience, different than Hannah, went to a different school, but you feel like she did better or did she have the dining hall situation? Because she had Hannah there already when,
As far as meals go, I think they're pretty much the same. We did not have a meal plan for her because she moved into condo with Hannah, but different children.
yeah.
Mhm.
Oldest child likes to spend a lot. Middle
Yeah.
one doesn't want to put anybody out, and no,
Yeah.
that's too much. So
Yeah,
they balance
and
each
mine
other
are the
out.
opposite. Skylar, oldest, responsible, a little hiccups here and there, but for the most part, on it. And then she started working her senior year, and that little money was, what she used, and she stayed on it. And still to this day, when she got a job, graduated, like, didn't ask for a cent.
Wow.
But then Lucas, not the same experience at all the first year. Like, he just did not, follow the same thing, but
Yeah.
the opposite. I'm the baby you need to do for me. I don't know.
Sure. Right. Oh, yeah. That's
And
their
maybe it's a
mindset.
male female thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, but it was definitely interesting. So for me, I would try to, have an honest conversation because we're like, yes, I'll eat. Yes, of course, I'm going to be there. And yeah, the food looks great. And yes, everything's this or that. But in reality, when it
That's the
came down to it,
thing.
yeah.
And it just kind of, figure out their schedule once they get their schedule and just, what they're closest to, what dining hall are they closest to. But again, it just sounds so easy,
Yeah.
but it doesn't work out that way.
Yeah.
At least it was tougher
Yeah, and
with our
that's what
kids.
Lucas would say was just that it's not open when I get out of class, it's not open. Or when I get out,
Mhm.
it's, which dining hall's open on this day and that day and serving what I want. Like it's a very fine thing. Like,
Well, and I feel that knowing other kids that don't have financial support from their parents that go off to school and they have to do the meal plan. I mean, it's totally doable,
right.
but
Absolutely.
you have to be able to say, I am not giving you extra money to eat out.
Mhm.
You have to eat in the dining hall, which, it's doable, but you just have to be disciplined.
Right. And I didn't necessarily have that conversation with my kids other than a budget, right? Stay on a budget. But I mean, did you know, I didn't go in expecting that to be the issue, the food, eating out.
No,
Like I didn't even,
not
I'm
at
just
all.
like, this is offered to you and it made sense in
Yes.
my head and they're going to take advantage automatically. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And then
Yeah.
they themselves say, yes, mom, this is going to be great. This is going to be enough. this meal plan works out,
Mhm.
and in their mind, it's going to
It
work
did,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but just in reality,
Yeah.
it doesn't work out the
Yeah.
same, yeah.
Yeah.
So, advice for parents sending their kids to college right now on this, if you had to tell somebody, you know, "Don't do it this way," or "Don't do it that way," or,
I mean, and I know even where my kids have gone to college, they really set out a whole listing of all the meal plans.
Mhm,
But it just asks questions because they do have people there to ask. Like when you go for maybe a new student conference, something like that, they have people to ask and at least some more guidance,
mhm,
And I know it's going to differ for every person, but just being informed about all of that. And because it is a lot of money, those meal plans, and you really want to make sure when they do decide on a meal plan, can you adjust it during the semester,
mhm.
whether add some more meals or not? And sometimes that is actually not allowed.
Right.
Once you decide on a meal
That's
plan,
it, you're stuck with
that
that.
is it. You may
Yeah,
be able to,
because 'cause they've charged you for it at the start, right? Like that.
yes. So you know, just asking the right
And
questions
I think
about that.
also, like in our case, finding out when they're open, because I just assumed they were all open all
Uh-huh.
the time for
Yeah.
every meal,
Mm-hmm.
not even thinking about that he's on the other side of campus and the one over there closes at this time or that time. Like, it didn't even occur to me that that would be a situation.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know, like I said, thinking about being realistic and talking to them about what their expectations are. He didn't eat at home 3 meals a day, like, really? Like, that's like, thinking about what they really are gonna do. There's an
Sure.
ideal situation, and then there's thinking, like, what do they really do? Their habits at home even. It's
And
like
I think also, what are you realistically going to do? How
right,
disciplined are you going to be
and
to,
saying no,
yes,
yeah,
yeah, to say you have to
yeah.
take
Or
advantage of
I'm
the meal
not
plan?
increasing
Right.
your limit, or you're not gonna get money, go to the dining hall. Like, that's hard because
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
your
It
mom
is. Yeah. Your
You're
mom
worried about
instincts.
you're
Yeah.
worried about them being
And
on their own for the first year, and you don't want them to get depressed, and you want them to be
yeah.
happy, and
Yeah. And just eating
and
eating
not get
well.
left out
Eating
because you
well.
want them to have friends, and if their friends are going to eat, you want them to be with their friends, and
Yeah. The social aspect of it,
yeah.
yeah, to the people they're meeting and just to be able to hang out with them. But sometimes that means let's go out and, go eat.
Mhm.
And that's where it just adds up a little bit.
Yeah, so and I
Lot.
didn't really think about that when I sent my first kid to college, like all the
Yeah.
other stuff, right? The
Oh, for
other
sure.
expenses. We
For
worked out how
sure.
school was gonna get paid for and
Yes.
how getting there and the dorms and all the little fancy things, but other stuff didn't ever occur to me.
mhm.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you, ladies, for a nice, honest discussion.
Well, you're very
Really,
welcome.
really appreciate your time.
I hope it helps some new
Somebody
parents.
somewhere,
Yes.
look at the dining dollars.
Yes.
Limit the
Yes.
credit
Talk
card.
credit card.
Say
What
no.
is really an emergency?
Yes, and learn to say no.
And learn to say
Yes.
no.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.